We've promoted two new South American wonderkids into the first team, Argentinian left-back Sergio Ayala and Ecuadorian central midfielder named George Medina. And two incredible debuts for the young men saw Ayala pick up the Man of the Match award in his very first game in a Tottenham shirt. But with only £17 million left in the budget, and us losing ground to Manchester City in the title challenge, we've got a fight on our hands if we want to continue our quest to make Spurs the best team in the world. But as ever, if you are enjoying the series so far, please feel free to like and subscribe, and let's get into today's episode. And so we are going to start off this episode with some of your comments, the first of which being, if you're looking for a new goalkeeper, I'd say to sign Mamardashvili from Valencia. Now, to be honest, at the start of last episode, I think you may well have been onto something, as he fits the bill of exactly the type of players we want. He's young, and he's got plenty of potential, along with some of the other guys that have been called into my shortlist, thanks to your comments along the way. However, with a stunning display of goalkeeping, becoming the clean sheet leader in episode 3, and with his overall rating improving to 83, I'm kind of reluctant to replace Vicario in between the sticks, especially as this is his first season at the club. Another one coming in saying, I know it won't get you much, but for extra cash I'd sell Eric Dyer. He was linked with a move away from the club in the summer transfer window and could help with cash, although I'm not sure who you could sign to replace him though. Yeah, so Eric Dyer is definitely someone who's probably seen his last few days at the club. His contract expires in 6 months, and with him being 29 years of age and only rated 77, I highly doubt he's going to get any better than he already is. However, in terms of his future at the club, I'll touch upon that a little bit later on. But speaking of replacements for him, Indika from Frankfurt would be a great centre-back to target in the January transfer window. So again, it's another brilliant suggestion, and at 6'4" and left-footed and being 24 years of age, he could seamlessly slot in the left-hand side of my defence. But with him just joining Roma in real life, I'm not really sure whether or not he'd want to make an immediate move away from them. Plus, I'm not even sure if we're going to be able to afford him right now, but time will tell. Use the formation 4-2-3-1 as it will give Porro and Udogie more freedom, Højbjerg more defensive capabilities, and unlock Maddison and Vlahovic's full potential, and that's the formation that Ange Postecoglou uses in real life. Yeah, so I spoke time and time again at the back end of last episode about how I'm just not getting the best out of this man Dusan Vlahovic. Even though he's up to 85 rating, he is still yet to find the back of the net for the club, despite playing for the club 11 times. So despite me being fairly happy with this 4-3-3 formation that we're currently running at the moment, I am going to take on board your feedback, and I'm going to switch the formation to a more narrow 4-2-3-1 and move Maddison into the hole behind the striker that can hopefully allow him to feed in some balls that Vlahovic will be able to take advantage of. And finally, you should add the instruction to get players in the box using the D-pad, since crossing is a big part of your game, and you can also put the majority of your players in the box manually from the tactics menu in team management. It will help get more players into positions instead of having 2 or 3 players in the box and have the ball cleared out. So yeah, perhaps that is the final piece in the jigsaw that I'm missing so far. I'm pretty happy with the rest of my tactical instructions, particularly gegenpressing has worked very effectively for us in the final third. Plus, I think playing a more offensive direct passing style has definitely helped us. But as you can see, in terms of the number of players I'm getting in the box, I'm only halfway up where I perhaps could be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift this up all the way to just 2 bars away from the top. Hopefully that doesn't leave us exposed, but hopefully the risks of getting more players into the box will outweigh the cons, and hopefully we'll get the best out of this man Vlahovic, and we'll finally see him break his duck and get his first goal for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Now, with both Ayala and Medina impressing in their debuts for the club, but with them only being rated 65 and 64 respectively, I put a poll out there to you guys to decide what do you want to do with these two young players for the remainder of the season. And you lot were all crystal clear in your responses. A whopping 76% of you all suggest for me to loan the pair of them out to clubs to try and get some first team football to aid their growth and development. And so with that in mind, I will be sticking both of them on the loan list, with the hope that once we get to the start of the January transfer window, we can get some decent offers for them, and hopefully they can begin their journeys playing football at a senior level. Now, I mentioned at the start of the episode we only have £17 million left in the transfer budget, and if we want to try and catch up and bridge the gap to Manchester City at the top of the table, we are going to have to take a long hard look at this squad to see that who we can potentially sell in order to raise some additional funds. So with the likes of reserve goalkeeper Brandon Austin and centre-back Eric Dyer both only having 6 months remaining on their contracts, both of them have been added to the transfer list, along with the 30-year-old Welshman Ben Davies. Plus, despite him being rated 82 and having that something special, Giovanni Lo Celso is a man whom has been loaned out several times over the last few years by Spurs, and a man who is unlikely to feature in the first team anytime soon, so I think it would be realistic of me to add him to the transfer list, as he looks to be another man to force his way out of the club. And so as I wait for us to get through December in order for the January transfer window to open, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not I receive any offers for some of these players. But in the meantime, we've got some very interesting games that we've got to get through. Starting off on an incredibly negative note, it's a 3-1 home loss to our arch rivals West Ham United. And another loss, this time 2-1 at home to Newcastle. Eventually though, we do manage to get back to winning ways, courtesy of a 3-1 away win against Nottingham Forest. We managed to progress through to the next round of the Carabao Cup, courtesy of a hard-fought 3-2 away win against Burton Albion. But we are brought crashing back down to earth, courtesy of a 2-1 loss against Everton. A clean sheet against Brighton was only good enough to secure a point as we draw 0-0, before we finally get back to winning ways, courtesy of a 2-0 win at home to Bournemouth. So it ended up being a mixed run of results in December, which unfortunately brought us down to 4th place, just a point ahead of Manchester United, who have a game in hand on us. The change in formation seems to have had somewhat of a positive effect on Dusan Vlahovic, with him at least getting on the score sheet 3 times so far in the Premier League, but he still isn't reaching the heights that I would have expected from him. And to be fair, I think that can pretty much be applied to every single player in my team, with Maddison being the highest goal scorer so far this season, with only 4 goals to his name. Richarlison, who hasn't really featured in the starting 11 too much, has chipped in with 4 goals overall, 3 of those coming in the Premier League. And Højbjerg, one of my defensive midfielders, has chipped in with 3 goals to his name as well. And Kulusevski on the right hand side, whilst his rating has gone up to 84, he really hasn't impressed as much as I would have hoped him to either, with only 3 goals and 2 assists to his name. And as for Heung-min Son, it's been another disappointing campaign for the South Korean. 3 goals, only 1 assist in 19 Premier League games. And so it is clear to me that something just isn't quite right. And for starters, in spite of me changing the formation, when I head over to the individual player instructions, I realise that for every single player, I've just left on the default setting. So I'm going to start with Vlahovic, and I'm going to make sure that he starts making far more attacking runs in behind the defence. As we want to get a decent amount of crosses into him, I'm going to make sure that both of my wingers stay wide at all times. Maddison needs to make sure that he's getting in the box for crosses at all times, plus I want to make sure that he has the freedom to be able to roam around the pitch. And in true Ange Postecoglou style, I'm going to make sure that both of my fullbacks invert, try and come into the midfield in order to provide us more numbers in central areas. In spite of those individual player instructions, I can't help but feel that we still might need to make 1 or 2 more signings in order to improve the overall squad. Fortunately enough though, with the sales of Giovanni Lo Celso to Chelsea for £36 million and Ben Davies to Juventus of all teams for £8 million, we have somehow been able to raise an additional £59 million that we can now spend. With Jorge Medina being able to secure a short-term loan move to Elche and Sergio Ayala managing to get a loan move to Leeds United, it means that both of those young players will be able to continue their development away from the football club this season. However, the only frustration is with Eric Dyer in the last 6 months of his contract, Newcastle United have managed to sneak in and steal him under our noses for a free transfer. And in an even more frustrating glitch, it means that he has been able to secure that move immediately rather than leaving us at the end of the season, which now means we've been left a little bit light in the centre of defence. Now, bearing in mind that James Maddison is our top goal scorer with only 4 goals scored so far this season, and that we've only managed to score 27 goals so far in the Premier League, 6 less than our North London rivals Arsenal, it would make the most sense to bring in someone new in an attacking area that can improve us. However, with the likes of an 87 rated Heung-min Son, an 85 rated Maddison and an 84 rated Kulusevski, plus some fantastic young talent in reserve like Brennan Johnson, Manor Solomon and Brian Hill, I'm kind of reluctant to bring in any players that might end up stunting their development. So with that in mind, and with Eric Dyer's departure at the club leaving us short at centre-back, I can't help but feel like building on the foundations of the club and the defence might be the most strategic move. And so, with the club having aspirations to get back to the top table of European football, we are going to need to bring in experienced players who've got experience playing at the very highest level. And with the board only wanting me to bring in the best players in the world who can genuinely improve us, I think it makes sense to target a man who's got over 100 appearances for Bayern Munich across the Bundesliga and the Champions League. A man who has won that very competition and the World Cup with his national team, scoring an unbelievable world-class goal in the process. It is time for the Tottenham Hotspur fans to say hello to our first signing of the January transfer window, as Benjamin Pavard joins the club for £39.7 £7 million. He's a man who offers us versatility, being able to play at both centre-back and right-back. His experience will hopefully provide a cool and calm head at the back for us, and it means all of the senior centre-backs who are now left at the club are all at least an 81 rating, making it one of the strongest positions across our whole starting 11. However, with only £16 million left in the budget, I don't really think I'm going to have any more money to make any more significant transfers to add to this team. And so with Giovanni Lo Celso departing, leaving James Maddison as the only person who can play in a central attacking midfield position for us, and with both Mana Solomon and Brian Hill competing with Heung-min Son on the left-hand side of midfield for that reserve role, I actually think long-term Brian Hill has some decent attributes to be able to play in that position behind the striker. So with that in mind, I am going to change his development plan to be focused on the cam position, which hopefully means in the long term he can potentially challenge James Maddison for a place in our starting 11. And so with an FA Cup round 3 game around the corner to Leicester City, and with me deciding to make plenty of changes to my starting 11, it is the perfect opportunity for Brian Hill and those other remaining reserve players to try and stake a claim in our starting 11 as we look to put together a pretty decent cup run in the FA Cup. Brian Hill with his first touch into Basuma, who finds himself in an advanced position, and he finds Solomon on the left hand side. Can we try and get some more players into the box? It's into Richarlison, who strikes, and with his first strike, smashes it into the top right-hand corner to give us an early 1-0 lead inside the first 10 minutes. Well, to be honest, it was just all too easy. Leicester just fell asleep in the box, and Richarlison was a free man just on the edge of the 6-yard box to absolutely lash it home, giving the keeper no chance and saying thank you very much. It's 1-0 Spurs. Oliver Skipp has it here and he's absolutely taken out from behind. It is a shocking challenge and the referee's had enough. It's a red card and things are going from bad to worse for Leicester. Dewsbury Hall for Leicester City. Ricardo Pereira on the right hand side. Beautifully done to get past Ryan Sessegnon, and he has the pace to continue to drive down this right hand side. Can he find a ball in? It's a poor ball and it's easy for Figario in the end. Ryan Sessegnon tussling with Pereira. This is going to be a ding-dong battle all game down that right hand side, I can see. But Emerson Royale down the other side gives it to Brennan Johnson. He fires a ball in the box looking for Richarlison. Couldn't find him. Brennan Johnson tussling with Justin there on the left hand side, and he manages to get the better of him. Fires it over to Oliver Skipp. Oliver Skipp into Mana Solomon. He twists and turns onto his left. Nicely done. Hits it with his left. And he smashes it into the top right-hand corner. It was all too easy, and Leicester City is showing exactly why they got relegated last season. Mana Solomon, it was a fine goal to be fair to him, but he had too much time and space, and when you give him that time and space, he will make you pay. 2-0 Spurs. Leicester City look like they've started this second half far better than they ended the first, but Tapsoba does well to defend, but Leicester still managed to keep hold of the ball. It's Pratt to bring it forward into Ricardo Pereira. I said it was going to be a ding-dong battle between him and Sessegnon, and it is proving to be so. Look at the two of them tussling on the edge of the box. Sessegnon gets the better of him and just about manages to get the ball clear. Richarlison into Oliver Skipp. Oliver Skipp can feed a ball through here. I was looking for Brian Hill. He was inches away from playing him in there. He was really unlucky. But Oliver Skipp fighting to win the ball back. And he does get it back. It's Mana Solomon now. Twisting, turning. Finds Oliver Skipp again. I'm going to try and fire this across to the right-hand side to Emerson Royale. Can he play a ball across? Looking for Richarlison. And Richarlison scores our third. It's his second. And it is just all too easy. Well, it was Oliver Skipp's tenacity in the centre of midfield that got the goal for us. But it was another beautiful cross this time from Emerson Royale to find Richarlison, and he ghosted in behind the defenders into the edge of the 6-yard box, and he says thank you very much yet again for the second time in the game. It's 3-0 Spurs. Tapsoba, nice ball over to Brennan Johnson on the right hand side, and it's a better ball back to Emerson Royale, who's got space here, and he continues to drive down this right hand side. Can he find a ball into the box? He does, looking for Richarlison, who was looking for his hat-trick, but he couldn't get on the end of it. Daka with the throw for Leicester, finds Pratt on the left-hand side, goes past Emerson Royale really nicely, and Jamie Vardy on as a substitute finds a ball into the box for Mavidi. And it's a bit of a waste in the end for Leicester City. Well, that turned out to be the last attack for Leicester City, and you can tell from the goalkeeper's reaction, he, along with the rest of the players, are incredibly disappointed by their overall performance. It was made difficult going down to 10 men so early, but Richarlison had already scored before that point, and he looked like a man on a mission. As at full time here, it finishes Spurs 3, Leicester City 0. A 2-goal Richarlison capped off a wonderful team display, meaning that we will be sailing through to the 4th round of the FA Cup. But in bigger news, with us knocking Burton Albion out of the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup, we have been drawn against our arch rivals Arsenal in the semi-finals. And with the first game being played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it's a wonderful opportunity for newcomer Benjamin Pavard to make his debut in arguably the biggest game of our season so far. And with Richarlison's 2-goal display against Leicester City, I feel it is only right for him to keep his place in the starting 11 as Vlahovic drops to the bench. Pavard with his first touch in a Spurs shirt, and he's already being put under pressure by Odegaard from Arsenal. But he gives it to Romero really nicely, and he does really well to get away from the challenge as Pablo Vieira wins that one really high, and Arsenal start as they mean to go on. It's Fabio Vieira, who picks it up, but Romero with a great challenge, knowing his defensive position is under threat. With the arrival of Benjamin Pavard, he is there with a brilliant challenge, but it is now Richarlison, another man who's fighting for his position, who drives into the box, and Richarlison, who smashes it into the back of the net to give us a 1-0 lead here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Well, my word, inside the opening 10 minutes, it is end-to-end stuff. And Saliba just could not keep up with the relentlessness of Richarlison as he was desperate to score against our arch-rivals, and he did just that, giving Ramsdale no chance as he celebrates wildly to give us a 1-0 lead. Oh, Kulusevski with the ball, and he's taken out from behind by Zinchenko. And Zinchenko is a very lucky man to only escape with a yellow card. Well, let's take a quick look at this replay. That is a shocker. That should be a straight red card, and Zinchenko can count himself a very lucky man. Udogie for Spurs finds Heung-min Son on the left-hand side, twisting, turning, finds Maddison in a really nice pocket of space, and he drives into the edge of the Arsenal penalty area, looks for Kulusevski at the far post, and Ramsdale makes a real hash of that one. A bit of an acrobatic save, but at least he gets the job done. Tottenham corner. Gabriel Jesus for Arsenal into Odegaard. Lovely pass into Fabio Vieira. And Vieira is unmarked down the left-hand side. Romero tries to come across the cover, but it's Martinelli in the box. The danger man into Gabby Jesus. Vicario with a big save. Oh, it's a huge miss from Tomiyasu. Højbjerg, oh, he's given it away so cheaply there to Fabio Vieira. And Arsenal go again, desperately hunting for an equaliser here to get a foothold back in this game. Odegaard twisting and turning. Romero with a brilliant challenge though. And Pedro Porro gets it cleared to Kulusevski. Martinelli again for Arsenal. It has been relentless pressure in the last 10 minutes from them, but it's well won by Bentancur. And now, can he try and release Richarlison for the counter-attack? Richarlison does well to win it, but it's given away. And it's Gabby Jesus now. Out to Saka on the right-hand side, who's been fairly quiet so far in this opening 37 minutes, but he tries to go past Udogie. But Udogie says, no way, Jose. Martinelli for Arsenal now. Nice job to skip past the challenge of Kulusevski, but Pedro Porro came across well, and he's won it high. And can I try and release Richarlison? Richarlison has managed to stay on side somehow, and Richarlison drives into the box, looking for his second. He gets his second with his left foot, and Richarlison celebrates in front of the Spurs fans as he has given us a 2-goal cushion. Well, it was a brilliant piece of counter-attacking play as Pedro Porro just fed in Richarlison, and because Arsenal, in their haste to try and get a goal back, left all sorts of spaces at the back that Richarlison was easily able to take advantage of, as it Spurs 2, Arsenal 0. Zinchenko for Arsenal, nice pass into the path of Martinelli. He's got the pace to try and get away from Pedro Porro. Continues into our box here, unchallenged. Gives it back to Odegaard. Odegaard skips past the challenge of Højbjerg. Declan Rice on the edge of the box, looking for options. Finds Zinchenko. Back to Odegaard. Brilliant start from Arsenal here at the start of the second half. And Gabby Jesus gets it all wrong, and it's a big let-off for us. Benjamin Pavard almost under the challenge there of the Arsenal attackers, but he manages to get away, and he finds Udogie, who's got the pace and power to drive past the Arsenal midfield into Bentancur, who drives into the box, gives it back to Udogie, who tried to give it to Richarlison. In the end, Declan Rice was there, but Højbjerg to strike from distance. Makes a bit of a hash of it. Havertz for Arsenal as a substitute finds Gabby Jesus, who finds Saka, who goes back in field for Havertz. This is lovely play from Arsenal, and they've completely opened us up, and we are very, very lucky. By only a matter of centimetres, ended up finding himself offside. Arsenal with the corner, 75 minutes on the clock. They've got to try and see if they can find a way back into this game. They cannot let this cup tie get away from them. It's headed away by Benjamin Pavard, only as far as Saka. Back into the box he goes, unopposed. I'm too scared to put a challenge in, but Højbjerg isn't, and he gets the ball away brilliantly. Brennan Johnson now. Oh, that is a beautiful ball into the path of an unmarked Pedro Porro, and he drives into the box here. Can I try and find a ball across the box into Vlahovic, who is on as the substitute, and Dusan Vlahovic gives us a 3-0 lead. Well, he's a man who's been under a hell of a lot of pressure this season, and what a way to relieve yourself of that pressure than by scoring against our North London rivals Arsenal. And with the referee deciding to call time on the rest of the game after we were able just to control it and see out the 3-0 victory, the Arsenal players cannot quite believe what they have seen, but it is that man, Richarlison, with his two fabulous goals that help us secure a 3-0 victory at full time. And with that result putting us one step into the Carabao Cup final, it's time to turn our attention back to a massive game in the Premier League against the third place Manchester United. It's a game that will see us head to Old Trafford with the Man United fans in full voice, but it's one that I am absolutely desperate to win, as 3 points will put us in a fantastic position in our Champions League fight. Varane to bring this ball out of defence for Manchester United as Jadon Sancho was dropped deep, but it's Amrabat who's picked up a beautiful ball into Correa, who dances around my defence and forces Vicario into an early save. They keep the ball alive here with Bruno Fernandes. I'm trying to find a way out here, but I just can't, and Vicario is forced into his second huge save within the first 10 minutes. Eriksen, the former Spurs man, will take the resulting corner, and Antony just skips away from the challenge of Maddison. It's headed away by Højbjerg, I believe it was. United keep it alive with Amrabat. Dalot now dancing around the edge of our penalty area, and Amrabat into Vicario for another huge save from the Italian. It's a short corner here. United have started this opening 15 minutes on absolute fire. They mean business and they are determined to secure Champions League football for themselves this season as Vicario saves for the fourth time. Well, they're going again here, and Eriksen again goes short to Antony. He's going to try and go past Maddison. Instead goes infield to Bruno Fernandes. Back to Antony. They're just playing their way beautifully around the edge of my box. Dalot into the box. Vicario saves. I'm losing track of the amount of saves he's making, and fortunately enough we do manage just about to get possession and we can get the ball clear. Bentancur into Heung-min Son. We've broken through the lines beautifully here, and Udogie drives into the penalty area now. He doesn't have anyone in the middle, so he's going to take it on himself, and it's just a poor shot in the end that's easy enough for Onana to save. Heung-min Son to keep it alive though, into James Maddison, who fires it straight at Onana. Will Richarlison be able to get there first? Yes, he will. He keeps it alive, into Pedro Porro, who strikes, hits the defender with his left. He keeps hold of the ball though, looks for Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson turns onto his left, and Brennan Johnson turns the ball into the back of the net. Well, from being absolutely battered from pillar to post down one end, we have turned things around and given ourselves an unlikely 1-0 lead here at Old Trafford. Beautiful play by Brennan Johnson, but it was just a relentless stream of pressure. 3 shots after another, and finally Brennan Johnson is able to break down the Manchester United wall to secure his second goal of the Premier League season. It's 1-0 Spurs. Antony on the right-hand side being chased down by Bentancur. Has Bentancur got the pace to keep with him? He does, and he does beautifully to win the challenge. Heung-min Son being pressured here, but he's wriggled away from that, and Udogie now into Bentancur. Can he try and release a pass here? I'm just waiting for the right option, and I find Udogie down the left-hand side. He's got the pace, he's got the power to drive into the box. Can I try and find a ball in? No, it's well defended by the Manchester United defence. Richarlison into James Maddison. James Maddison takes a touch and he strikes, and it's a great save from Onana. Maddison with a corner. It is end-to-end stuff here at Old Trafford as Heung-min Son. Almost, I thought that was going to find its way into the top left-hand corner. He's disappointed as it just goes slightly over the bar. Eriksen for United. Nice pass into Antony. Antony feeds a ball across into Amrabat, and he's unmarked. And Vicario is forced into an early stop inside the second half. Well, United have started off this second half exactly how they started off the first. It's another short corner. This time it's won well by Maddison, and we can try and escape with the ball. Maddison down the left-hand side. I'm going to try and look for the run of Heung-min Son up ahead of him. I do find Heung-min Son, but he can't find anyone into the box, so instead decides to drive inside himself. I'm going to look to... I was trying to cut it back for the on-rushing run of Brennan Johnson, but it was well intercepted by the Manchester United defence. Sancho goes back to Luke Shaw, gets it back, but it's Amrabat who will pick it up and feed it just ahead to Jadon Sancho again. He's going to go one-on-one with Romero, and he's got the beating of him on pace, but he doesn't with guile, but instead gets it into the box for Correa. Oh my word, it's Benjamin Pavard on his debut to save what was a definite goal there for Manchester United. Luke Shaw for United again to drive into the box. It's Jadon Sancho now, and what on earth are my defence doing? It was just all too easy. Well, it was easy for Luke Shaw to go around both Brennan Johnson and Pedro Porro, and it was way too easy for Jadon Sancho to find space on the edge of the 6-yard box. I'm still getting used to the player switching on this brand new EFC 24 game, and it clearly showed with that goal. Easy one in the end for United. They're back on level terms. Into Casemiro. It's a loose ball, and Casemiro just about got there. He was sold short. Fortunately enough, he managed to get himself out of trouble as Jadon Sancho now has it inside our half here. And of the two teams, it is United who are in the ascendancy and look like they might be able to get the second goal. It's Correa in a penalty area to Bruno Fernandes to try and go in. He's chased down by Pedro Porro, and in the end, Romero can get it clear. And as the referee calls time on what was an end-to-end second half here at Old Trafford, both teams will end up sharing the points. They both had their opportunities, but to be completely honest, I will be very happy to take away the point today. I think United will be the most frustrated of the two teams, having had more opportunities. But at full time here, it will finish United 1, Spurs 1. And that result does keep us on level terms with Manchester United, but it does mean we have now slipped down to 6th place in the table with the likes of United, Liverpool, Arsenal and even West Ham ahead of us in the fight for Champions League football. But as you can see, there is only 4 points between West Ham in 2nd and us in 6th. So it is anyone's to play for in the second half of the season. But for now though, with a 3-0 thumping of Arsenal in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, it is time for us to make sure that we do get the job done. We remain professional as we head into the cauldron that is the Emirates. And with this being 3-0 up, I am fairly confident that we should be able to see out this victory, and that is why I've made several changes to my starting 11. The likes of Emerson Royal, Tapsoba, Mickey van der Ven and Ryan Sessegnon all coming in. Bentancur keeps his spot in the centre of midfield, but he is partnered by Basuma, with the likes of Brian Hill, Kulusevski and Mana Solomon all starting behind Richarlison up front. Emerson Royal under a bit of pressure here from the Arsenal attackers, manages to wriggle away to Tapsoba. Into Mickey van der Ven. He goes out wide to Ryan Sessegnon, and that has opened up a gap on the left-hand side. Into Bentancur. Nice pass out to Solomon on the left. He tries to fire a ball in, gets it all wrong, but Kulusevski manages to keep it in play. And Brian Hill was inches away from getting on the end of that one and giving us a 1-0 lead. Jesus, oh, nice work to get past Tapsoba, and Emerson Royal's the man trying to track back. Does a brilliant job, but Tapsoba does not do a brilliant job. And Gabby Jesus has it back again. And Vicario with an outstretched arm, fortunately enough keeping the scores at 0-0. Looks like Koke is going to take the corner short for Arsenal. He does go short to Saka. He's being chased down by Brian Hill. Into the box goes Saliba though. And he's challenged well by Mickey van der Ven. Saliba into Jorginho. Jorginho to Zinchenko. Nice play from Arsenal here. But Tapsoba read that one really well this time. Bentancur's under a lot of pressure though, but he does manage to skip away from a challenge of the Arsenal midfield. Into Solomon. Into Sessegnon, who finds himself in an advanced position. Richarlison looks for the run of Brian Hill. Instead finds an outstretched run of Kulusevski on the right hand side. Switches it onto his left. Well challenged by Zinchenko. Emerson Royal with the throw to Kulusevski. Back to Emerson Royal. Throws it into the box. Into Mana Solomon at the far post. But Tomiyasu gets there ahead of him. And it will be Kulusevski to take the corner here. He fires it into the box. Looking for the head of Brian Hill, who finds himself deputising for Maddison. Just in behind the striker. But he can't do anything about that head. Easy for Ramsdale. Tapsoba into Brian Hill, who's come deep. Oh, nicely done to get away from the defenders here. Solomon even better done to bet into Bentancur. And Bentancur strikes it off the bar. Well, he can't believe that one. It's a really disappointing one for him, as that would have been a sensational strike. Ramsdale was beaten. Unfortunately, the Arsenal post was not. Odegaard for Arsenal into Saka. Saka trying to drive down the right-hand side, being chased down by Tapsoba. Does a really nice job of cutting back inside, though. Sends him a dummy. Solomon tries to win it. Bentancur instead wins it, but he's chased down. Koke into Gabby Jesus. Nice play from Arsenal on the edge of our box, but Bentancur is there yet again. He started this game off really well. Richarlison now into Basuma. Basuma's going to try and look for the run of Emerson Royal down the right-hand side. He finds the run, and Emerson Royal has got space here. He continues into the box. It's just about trying to find the right man. He finds the wrong man in Ramsdale. Well, Arsenal have a free kick here in a dangerous position, and there is just about 25 minutes remaining on the clock here as Odegaard. Oh my word, that is absolutely outstanding. We'll talk about a moment of magic. If Arsenal needed one, they got one with Martin Odegaard. What a free kick that is. Left Vicario with absolutely no chance whatsoever. And Arsenal have a foothold back into this game. It's 3-1 on aggregate. Solomon into Kulusevski. Kulusevski turns and he's challenged badly by Jorginho there. Comes right through the back of him. And the referee looks like he is having none of it. And Jorginho has been shown the straight red. Arsenal down to 10 men. Basuma for Spurs looking for an opening and finds an opening to Vlahovic. Vlahovic finds Brennan Johnson. And Brennan Johnson should have found the back of the net. Kulusevski to take the resulting corner. Good ball in. Looking for the head of Brennan Johnson, who looked to make amends. Didn't though. And it's another big chance for the young man that goes begging. Van der Ven dinks that one forward to Ryan Sessegnon, and Ryan Sessegnon's got an option of Mana Solomon down the left-hand side. And Arsenal are being carved apart here. Mana Solomon goes back to Vlahovic, and Vlahovic should have made it 1-1. Mana Solomon will take the corner here. Fires it into the head of Kulusevski, and Mickey van der Ven was at the back post with the volley. And it is his first goal in a Tottenham Hotspur shirt. And what a time to score it. Saka for Arsenal on the right-hand side. Arsenal really running out of time here. Sessegnon with a brilliant challenge as the referee blows for full time. Well, the Spurs fans celebrate as they have beaten their North London rivals Arsenal across the two legs to secure a place in the Carabao Cup final. Disappointment for Martinelli as it was a poor showing from Arsenal across both legs, but neither I nor the fans care as it finishes 1-1 here, 4-1 on aggregate. And for me, with us being able to get into the final, I am confident we can go one step further and win the whole thing. But after City were able to get past Manchester United 5-2 on aggregate, it will be a Tottenham-Manchester City Carabao Cup final, a repeat of the final of 2021. City were the victors then, but we've got to hope that we will be the victors this time round. That is it for today's episode. Thank you very much for watching, and be sure to tune in for the remainder of the series as we have a cup competition to win. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you again next time.